A few keywords come to mind when one mentions the original Syndicate: Cyberpunk strategy and maybe co-op. While the original and its sequel Wars contained spectacular, lengthy, and varied campaigns, the reboot from 2012 took a different approach. The single-player campaign was largely forgettable, all the more disappointing considering Starbreeze's pedigree. The multiplayer, however, was mostly overlooked. This is the main attraction of the game, and it just so happens to embody what made the originals so endearing. The 9-mission campaign takes players around the globe in an effort to sabotage warring syndicates. These missions vary in terms of goals, requiring everything from assassination to data theft. None of this is done covertly, mind you. Dropping in hot nearly every stage, you exit from your dropship and start the onslaught. Stages are linear, broken up into checkpoint sections. These checkpoints act as restart points should your entire team fall in battle. They also give players a chance to reload and gather themselves before continuing on. There are 4 characters to choose from. Though they exist merely for aesthetics, their banter is unique each stage, adding a nice sense of variety.
Welcome to Aspiring.
Each zone of the stage has a different objective relating to the main goal. You may need to defend your dropship while hauling valuable data or resources, for example. Enemies increase in toughness and number as you progress, as one would imagine. Though Syndicate plays like a typical milsim shooter of the COD era, being reliant on character and gun upgrades via earned credits, it has another twist. Instead of simply demanding superior firepower to take down tougher foes, you must utilize your Dart 6 chip. This implant lets you hack into enemy equipment and armor. You may use a virus ability to make short work of a basic foe, or you may need to hack into an enemy's heavy armor suit, disabling it before you are able to damage them. Taking down shields, turning equipment on enemy soldiers, and more can be done with this little miracle of the chip. It adds a real cyberpunk flavor to the game, and it never gets old. Closing in close enough to hack an enemy turret, allowing your team to further advance, is a pretty cool feeling. It takes cooperation and coordination to effectively traverse an area, having some players stay back and fight while others work at pathfinding. The guns mostly mimic contemporary fare, but with a futuristic twist. The kick and power behind each rifle is satisfying. The snap-up aim is fairly generous, though mobility and pacing are just as important as a well-placed shot. The game runs and plays well on a PS3. The only problem is in the DualShock 3. In order to run, you need to click R3. Now, a lot of games do this, so it's not entirely fair to pick on Syndicate, but I've always found this to be a bit cumbersome and tricky to maneuver. It's easy to dart out into the battlefield thinking your character will erupt into a sprint, only to have them gunned down because they chose to walk instead. When you get to moving quickly, sliding into cover, hacking while firing, fingers dancing around the controller, it feels really cool. It's just not as reliable as it could be. Though the multiplayer campaign is long, it's a shame they limited the game to only co-op missions. Hacking could have been used in some neat ways for capture the flag or deathmatch variations. As mentioned, the single-player campaign was so forgettable, it's a wonder they didn't scrap it entirely to focus solely on multiplayer content. Syndicate is cheap as dirt nowadays, and well worth the investment. Fans of games like COD and Payday will appreciate the futuristic twists and satisfying gunplay. Cyberpunk fans will appreciate the plethora of brilliant settings and hacking mechanics. It's a bit hard to find a match, so best make sure to buy a copy for a friend too. Luckily, I played the hell out of this game when it first came out, so my character's pretty well maxed out. This allows me to feasibly solo some of the maps if I can't find a match. Though playable this way, it's a lot more fun with a squad. It's not the best in its class of cyberpunk shooter or cyberpunk shooter, but it's worth the time to see the horrifying future Starbreeze has constructed.